in language, but when I say language, in the way.
I don't love socks.
Ah,
Never.
oh, really? Okay, thank you for telling me. Fine. Then I will get to the end and I will show you some other non-fiction. Okay, fine. Do you want to shelve it? And I will show you something else.
I do.
No, as you like. I'm here for you, as you like.
I see.
As you like. Okay, we found out about lightning. We understand more about lightning now. Okay, so okay, this is what I used as a piece. Not bad. That's not for you. Okay, with my year fives. Okay, so they had some work to do, some non-fiction, as you can see, non-fiction reading. Okay, so their objective was to look for information in non-fiction texts to build on what is already known. So their subject is Nelson Mandela. Okay? So it says, since the beginning of time, brave men and women have fought for freedom and changed world history. Okay? All okay? Yeah. Fine. So, thank you. Well, over to you now, and I will send this to you. I will email it to you. Have you got your own email address?
Yes.
Fine. I will email it to you, along with the PowerPoint that goes along with it. Over to you.
19
July.
July. 1000.
Okay, so let's make things easier for you. Do you know how we say dates? Much easier than you. 1918.
1918.
Yes.
In a small village in South Africa, a great leader was born. His real name was
Okay, Wahala.
Buhala,
Yeah.
which means trumpet marker.
Troublemaker.
Maker.
Yes.
In the language of his
Tribe.
tribe.
So remember, you put your E on the end there, which is going to change the sound of the I. So it becomes tribe.
When he went to school, his teacher gave him the name Wilson.
Nelson.
Nobody knew what the future held for the little boy and how he would grow up and change the world.
Okay, so nobody knows what the future is. So nobody knew how he would change the world. Okay, you know a lot about him. Yes? Okay, no problem, then we will find out. Okay, this is difficult. It's not an English word. We all know it in English. It's called apartheid. And you'll find out what apartheid means. Apart. So, apart. If something is apart, it's separate. I've just separated my pen. Now it's one again. It's now separate. So I need you to keep that in your mind. Separate.
When Nelson was growing up, South Africa was ruled only by white people. They ruled by a system called apartheid or separations. That meant that black and white people were separated and could not go on the same bus to the same jobs, schools and hospitals. White people had the best school, the best hospitals, and the best jobs. As a result, black people were poorer and less healthy.
Okay, So, this system of government was called apartheid, or separateness. So, the black people and the white people had to be separate. So they weren't allowed to be on the same bus. They weren't allowed to go to the same shops, or schools, or hospitals. So there were schools for black children, there were hospitals for black people that were sick, and hospitals for white people that were sick. White people had the best schools, the best hospitals, and the best jobs. As a result, because of this, black people were poorer and less healthy. Okay. Not right. Okay. Working for change. Yeah.
Nelson and his friends wanted to change this. Nelson turned as a lawyer.
Yes. So he wanted to change it. So he trained as a lawyer to do that.
He organized large, peaceful, proper protests.
Yes. Understand the word? Protests. Yeah. Okay. Against
the South African government,
yes,
which refused
to recognize
the rights of non-whites. His peaceful
protests
were met her violence.
So his peaceful protests. So what he did, he said, okay, we are supposed to carry, because we are black, we are supposed to carry a passport, which was like another passport to say this is a black person. He refused to do that and burnt his passport. But so his peaceful protests were met with violence. So the government sent in their army and sent in the police. Okay?
Many of his friends were killed or
imprisoned, so put into prison.
In 1964,
yes.
He was imprisoned too. He stayed in prison for 26 years, refusing to give in to his
captors. So there's prison guards. He refused.
In 1990, he was released and became the first president of a free South Africa in 1994. He died on 5 December 2013.
Yeah. Okay.
Today, South Africa is a
democracy. Yeah.
Which means that adults who choose who they want to run the country. Nelson Mandela made it happen, but it was a hard struggle and one that cost him his own freedom.
Yeah. Okay. So to back up, to confirm, we have some pictures here. So up here is Nelson Mandela as a lawyer. Here he is actually in prison. I've been, and I will show you in the PowerPoint, actually shows his prison cell. I've been there. I've actually been in that cell. It is now a tourist attraction. I lived in South Africa when I was a little girl. So I have actually been inside that prison cell, which is not nice. And down here, we'll come to the end. I'm going to send you this. I'm going to go through it with you as to my own class. Here is Nelson Mandela. He said life was education. And education was life. If you want anything in life, he said education was the way to go forward, to get anything that you want. You can't do anything without an education. So here he is, actually, as president, opening a new school that included white students and black students together. So he made that happen. Here he is, as a quite elderly man, receiving his Nobel Prize for Peace. Have you heard of this before? Okay. There is a foundation called the Nobel Foundation, and they give prizes for outstanding contributions to something. If you are an expert in something, Nobel Foundation may well recognize it, and in some cases fund it. They gave Nelson Mandela and the former president before him, F.W. de Klerk, who was a supporter of apartheid, the separateness. But they came together. He was the man that ordered the release of Nelson Mandela from prison, which he spent nearly 27 years in prison. He ordered his release. He said, no, we have to let him out. And went on, when Nelson Mandela was elected president, he was the vice president. He was one of two deputy presidents and worked with Nelson Mandela. So they both got a Nobel Peace Prize. This is what you are seeing. You go in, see if I can make it larger for you. Bring it down. So this and this medal that they both have are Peace Prize awards. Do you like maths? Okay. There is a Nobel Prize for maths. The great mathematician John Forbes Nash received it. I don't love maths, I must be honest. I don't, my brain does not work this way. Even though I have a master's in theoretical astrophysics, so my brain works for light years and things like that, but not for calculus or anything like that, no. But if you are interested in maths, a person who's very inspiring would be a guy called John Forbes Nash, who received the Nobel Prize for his work called Equilibrium, which is still used today, even though he devised it in the 1950s. So, I went through this with my class. I've actually only had 3 homeworks back in. My class are not great in giving in homework. So, the question was, use words and phrases from the extract to support your answers. So what I tell them, and in the exam will tell you the same, use the information that is in front of you to support your answers. If you are given text to read, even if you don't agree with it, you have to cite it. You have to give a citation to it. What this means is you have to quote it. You have to use the information that's there, even if you don't agree. If this will serve you well in checkpoint, if you are saying give your opinion, then give your opinion. But when they say use words and phrases from the extract, even if you didn't agree with it, you have to state it. So what did his real name mean? What did it say? his real name. So everything is there. But what does it, which means troublemaker? You see that? So what did his, I was avoid it, don't worry. So what did Nelson's real name mean? Troublemaker. Nelson's real name meant troublemaker. So, okay, this was a question for them. What did Nelson Mandela have in common with Gandhi? Which two statements are true? So, you haven't read anything about Gandhi. They have. Okay. Mandela and Gandhi were both born in India. Well, Mandela was born in India, was he? He was born in South Africa. Is that what the text said?
Yes.
Yeah. So that one
Drop.
is wrong. They both went to prison for their beliefs. Did Mandela go to prison? 27 years. He was imprisoned. Yeah? So they both went to prison for their beliefs. That's correct. Mandela and Gandhi acted peacefully to protest about lack of freedom, did he? He acted peacefully. He said protest, but not violence. Yes? So that's correct. So it's no, yes, yes,
No.
no. Both men are still alive today. No. We know he died in 2013 and Gandhi died certainly before that. He actually died at the end of the 1940s. So explain in your own words what apartheid means. So we had a section on apartheid where it said about it being separate. So what does it actually mean? What was the effect of apartheid? It's okay, let's go on. Okay, so we have a section on apartheid. So South Africa was ruled only by white people. They ruled by a system, so it's the system called apartheid or separateness. Black people and white people not being together. This meant that black and white people were separated and could not go on the same bus, to the same shops, schools, or hospitals. This was here and this was here. They weren't allowed to have dinner together. That wasn't allowed. Black and white people were not allowed, certainly not allowed to be married. Today, yes. Then, no. Okay. So white people had the best jobs, the best hospitals, the best schools. As a result, black people were poorer and less healthy. Okay. So if I ask you to describe what apartheid means, what would you say? So if you were faced with this question, and I will send this to you, if you were faced with explaining in your own words what apartheid means, what would you say?
They separate people from black peoples, and black peoples go to best hospitals and schools, and black peoples is poorer and not us.
That's right. Is it fair? Would you say this is a fair thing? It's very unfair. One of my girls, Kenzie, said to me, "Miss, this is not right." And I said, "No, it's not right." Okay. So it says most of the paragraphs have a subheading to help you read. think of a different subheading for each of the first 3 paragraphs and write a new one for the final paragraph. Okay, so let's have a look at the subheadings. They're all there. I wrote this for you. So, first one says early years. So, what could you use instead of early years?
When you old.
Yeah, you could say early years. You could say something like in the beginning. Yes, at the beginning, in the beginning. Either preposition would be correct. In, at the beginning. So at the beginning of his life. And next one is apartheid. Yes. Yes. When I did this, what I do is whenever I write something like this, I always answer it myself, and I actually called it an unfair system. But you're right, you can put separateness. Yep. There will be nothing wrong with that answer. Okay, so what else have we got? Change. Working for change. So what you would need to do is, if you were faced with that, you could actually think of a synonym for change, a synonym for working. A synonym for working would be toiling, striving, change. Synonym for change. Striving for turnaround, toiling for turnaround. If you change something, you, another word, distort it. And a synonym for change would be to distort. Another word is metamorphosis, but that's, you don't need that one. So, working, you know about synonyms? So, okay, so let's take our, so if you work, you toil. Work, strive. So, strive. Strive, turnaround. Toil to turn. Strive to distort. So, if you are stuck, you only have to think of, okay, like the synonym of cold would be, give me a synonym of cold.
Cold. Give an A.
Okay, don't worry. So a synonym is a word that you can use instead of the original word. So think of cold. I've said in a recent.
Okay,
Go on.
cold.
Cold.
Right.
So synonym of cold would be
Freeze.
freeze. Chilling. What else? Fantastic. Yeah? So, you think to yourself, okay, what can I use instead of the word work? I can use toil. I can use strive. So, what can I use instead of change? Turn, distort. So, if you wanted to be really clever, which I know you are, you could use alliteration. Toil to turn. 3 T's. Yeah? So that would work for you. Okay. So let's go down. Okay, fine. So what was our last one? So working for change. So here is our last paragraph, and it does not have a subheading. So the question is asking us to think of a subheading for this one. Today, South Africa is a democracy, which means that adults choose who they want to run the country. Nelson Mandela made it happen, but it was a hard struggle, and one that cost him his own freedom. So, this is all about how it's changed. But at what cost? At a high cost for one man. The price was very high for one, it wasn't just one man, there were a number. But certainly this man, it cost him his own freedom. He actually wrote a book called, an autobiography called The Long Walk to Freedom. So, if you were going to give that a subheading, which element would you pick out? The cost, the fact that it's a democracy? Yes. Okay. So, the fact that it's a democracy now, you could say something like a bright future. The future was bright. It ended happily. All's well that ends well. This is all about it being bad, and now it needs to go bad. But it got a lot better. So yes, for me, it is all about the positive. You could say a happy ending. Yeah? Understand? Okay. So, what else did we do? In the paragraph called Working for Change, the words peaceful protests were met with violence are written. What do you think this means, and why was there violence? So, peaceful protests were met with violence. Okay, no problem. So, what it's actually saying is Nelson Mandela and his supporters, and there were a lot of them, disobeyed. They were disobedient. They did not do what the government said, but they didn't act violently. They stood outside government buildings with cards saying this is not fair. Things like that. They petitions where many people signed their names and said, no, this is not right. They did not hurt anyone physically. They did not attack anybody. They didn't do any of that. Okay? Understand? Okay, fine. What they did was, they stood outside a government office saying apartheid is not good. They didn't hit anybody. They didn't harm anyone. They just said, no, we don't think this is good. This is not fair. Okay? But they didn't cause trouble. Violence means to hit, to push, to hurt somebody's body. They didn't do that. They didn't. But they said, no, we won't carry the card. You want us to carry a card saying we're black people. No, we won't do that. We won't do that. And I'm going to show you what this means. But it says their peaceful protests were met with violence. So even though they were outside just holding cards saying this is not nice, this is not right, the South African government sent their army and their police. So what do you think this means and why was there violence? Okay. This means that even though they were protesting peacefully, they weren't hurting anybody. The government sent their army and their police to hurt them. Why was there violence? Because the government wanted them to just carry the cards and not say anything and not to say this is not right. Okay? Because the whole world, there was actually a song called Release Nelson Mandela. So the whole world got behind this. Also, the whole world stopped trading in South Africa. South Africa is a very, very rich country. It has diamonds and gold mines, but we stopped buying anything with them. The whole world did this until Nelson Mandela was released from prison. Did F.W. de Klerk, the old Prime Minister or President, say, okay, this is not right? Probably not. But he had to do it because his country had no money. Because nobody would do business with him because of this. In the timeline below, there is some missing information. Use the extract to help you complete it. So, this timeline, 1918, Nelson Mandela was born. Yeah. 1948, the government passes the laws of apartheid. So, Nelson Mandela goes to prison when? 1964. Okay, and he remained there until, so 1990. Nearly 27 years. Okay, 1993, he wins the Nobel Peace Prize that I told you about, the prize. Okay, Nelson Mandela becomes the first, in what year? It was 1994. He becomes the first black president. 2013, Nelson Mandela died on 5th of December. All in the extract. Of which they've only 73 back, but they all get it. Okay. What I'm going to show you is, I'm going to send this to your email, because I get the impression you're a person that does their homework, right? At school you do your homework on time? Ooh, very good. So I'll also send you that. Okay, so basically the same thing. So I made this for them as well. So pictures as well. So he joined a political party called the ANC. This was their flag. The ANC organised mass public campaigns and other protests. They also refused to obey unjust apartheid laws. It's been a long day. So there he is. This is the book, the card that they were made to carry to say they were black people. During apartheid, black people were required to carry a passbook with them at all times. Wherever they went, Nelson refused to carry it, and he burnt his passbook in protest of this rule. So this was part of the peaceful protest. He's burning the book, but he's not actually harming anybody, not another person. Okay, you're saying, oh, I won't carry that. But I'm not going to hurt anybody. And by the way, there were white people in the ANC, the political party too, because it was black people involved as well. So some white people said this is not right. So there you are, in 1962 the government banned the ANC, the African National Congress. This meant that nobody was allowed to belong to the ANC. And the ANC was no longer allowed to exist. The members of the ANC decided that they needed to step up their efforts. This is when armed attacks did begin, but never by Nelson Mandela or his supporters. In response to these attacks, the government arrested 10 leaders of the ANC and tried them for acts of treason and sabotage. So they said, you are going against your country. The trial ended on the 12th of June 1964 with 8 of the accused. When you're accused of something, somebody says you've done something. Maybe you have, maybe you haven't. We don't know. If you're accused, so you can accuse somebody of cheating in a test. We would say they are accused. Nobody knows